this song is for you. You can't wear it on your chest, but you can feel it in your heart. And I hope it brings you comfort when this world grows dark. Let it echo through the madness, let the message pull you through. This is our Medal of Honor to you.
Now back to Armed Forces Weekly with Donna Lyons on TSPN.
Welcome back to Armed Forces Weekly. I'm actually sitting here cracking up with Annie. She's a hoot. Annie is the program supervisor at the city Parks and Recs in Sacramento.
Correct.
And you're actually affiliated with many programs, it looks like. But tell us about the agency and the history of that organization.
So I work for the City of Sacramento, Department of Parks and Recreation. I've been there 22 plus years. The name of my section is called Access Leisure, and it has been in existence since 1966, which is really forward-thinking for a municipality because we serve children, teens, and adults with disabilities and programming specifically for those with disabilities, which is very forward-thinking, as most
Oh my gosh, yeah.
most cities, and it's been uninterrupted service since 1966.
Wow.
So we've been providing ongoing services for recreation, camping, outdoor education, travel, social and fitness programs, and then about 6-7 years ago, have been blessed and honored to include serving injured, ill, and wounded veterans and active duty members of the military. So my section has 3 parts to it, if you will. One is a coordinator that runs all of our social and fitness programs for teens, young adults, and adults with intellectual disabilities.
Right.
And most of those activities are done right in town and travel as well. And then we have camping and outdoor education for many different groups of individuals. And then we have our Paralympic Sport Club, which I'll tell you about in just a bit. But we're very fortunate to have a government agency that supports and recognizes how important it is to offer specialized recreation for those who are in need. And most often, there's architectural and attitudinal barriers for children, teens, and adults with disabilities. And added to that, when we're serving injured, ill, and wounded veterans and active duty military, are all of the challenges that they're facing that are very, very different from those children who were born with a physical disability or had an ATV incident and acquired a physical disability at 3 or 10 or 14.
Right.
And we have Shriners Hospital for Children, Northern California, in Sacramento, and they've been there 14 years. So that really has brought a lot of influx of families that are going to receive a lifetime care for those children who are going to have ongoing medical care and surgeries throughout their life. So there's a really big community there in Sacramento of needing people that need our services.
That's just, it's amazing. And I can't believe it's been around that long. I had no clue.
Yeah.
So tell us about Paralympics. I'm like so interested in that. I see pictures, of wounded warriors going and doing these events, and I'm just kind of blown away that how amazing that they are and how they feel too. So tell me about the Paralympics.
So the Paralympics means parallel to the Olympics. The most frequently asked question about the Paralympics is, what's the difference between the Paralympics and the Special Olympics? The Special Olympics is sporting competitions and activities for individuals age 8 through 98 who have an intellectual disability. So one must have some form of an intellectual disability to compete in the Special Olympics. The Paralympics was formed in 1948, the beginnings of the Paralympics, by a gentleman who was a doctor in Stoke Mandeville, England, named Sir Ludwig Gutmann. And he started using sport therapy for World War II veterans, British soldiers, to rehabilitate them. And then fast forward to 1960, that was the first time that he took those athletes, along with athletes from other countries that he had by that point in 1960 pulled together to go to really create the Paralympics, because the Paralympics follows the traditional Olympics, and that was in Rome in 1960.
Wow.
And the Paralympics started because of injured, ill, and wounded veterans, and as a part of rehabilitation. And then, of course, every single military member is an athlete first and a competitor. So it very quickly evolved into that. And then the first Winter Olympics that the Paralympics was a part of was in 1976 in Austria. So it's been great, and we are coming up on the Paralympic year in Sochi in Russia in 2014. So this winter, the Paralympics follows the Olympics. So everything an Olympian gets, a Paralympian has the same opportunities in the sense that the Olympians show up 10 days before the Olympics and get to practice for 10 days in the Olympic venues, and they compete for 2 weeks. That same day, 4,000 individuals with disabilities from 163 nations show up for, say, a Summer Olympics. They have 10 days to train and compete in the Olympic venues, the same venues, and then the Paralympics starts and goes for 10 days, it's 2 weeks. So it's a mirror. It means parallel to the Olympics, and I think most folks think rightfully, understandably so, that the Paralympics means you have to have some form of paralysis to participate. But actually, the Paralympics is open to those with physical or visual disabilities. So our veterans that are coming back with low vision and or blindness are competing in the Paralympics. So it's not just for those who many think have a spinal cord injury. It's not just for individuals who are born with a physical disability or acquired one. There is an entire category of Paralympics for those who are little people who are born with dwarfism. There are those with limb loss. There's, amputees, spinal cord injury, traumatic brain injury.
I was going to ask if that
traumatic brain
counts,
injury. Yes, it depends on the person's limitations as a result of the traumatic brain injury, because it really is about classifying them in the right physical category to compete against someone with a challenge. And then we have our soccer. Soccer is ambulatory for those who are born with cerebral palsy, acquired it, or those that survived a stroke. So there's all different kinds. There's 28 summer sports and there's 6 winter sports, because in Sochi will be the first time in winter sports that snowboarding is being contested. And in Rio in 2016, the 2 sports that are being added are para-va'a canoe and para-triathlon. And you'll see one of our nation's heroes, Melissa Hoffman Stockwell. She's one of the top para-triathletes in the world. I got to go to Beijing to the 2008 Paralympics with 13 kids with disabilities to show them what their life would be like if they chose to go on and to try to become an elite athlete and an Olympian.
Oh, how beautiful.
And two of them actually were able to make the Paralympic team and compete in London. So it's thrilling.
Wow. And what are their names? Do you want to?
David Brown was one, and Bryce Borman was the other.
Oh, so well, we have to remember those names, because they might be coming up, right?
One was blind, and he's a runner. That's David Brown. Wow. And Bryce has cerebral palsy and is on the U.S. Paralympic soccer team.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And do they do this for the Junior Olympics as well? I mean, do they have the?
So there's a Junior there's competitions for juniors to prepare to go to camps and clinics and qualify to become Paralympians.
Right.
Same as the Olympics. So yes.
Oh, that's just seriously, it's just amazing. And I had no clue it's been going on this long.
Right.
Since the 60s. It just really blows me away that somebody came up with this, and like you said, forward thinking.
And it was our veterans that created the opportunity for all that followed afterwards. Still gets me choked up just thinking about.
Oh, I know. It's just amazing. What is the regional sport program and the national grant?
So the City of Sacramento Department of Parks and Recreation, where my organization that I work with, was chosen as one of 5 programs in the nation 3 years ago to get a grant that's a target grant from the United States Olympic Committee Paralympic Division. But the funds, 100% of the funds originate from the Department of Veterans Affairs. And the idea was the VA really wanted to expand and enhance sports competitions, recreational sport, and camping clinic opportunities for injured, ill, and wounded veterans and disabled veterans of the armed forces. Active duty as well. And I think our program was chosen because before they ever came up with that idea, I was working with the local community-based Warrior Transition Unit, California, running one of the largest musters in the country for 150 injured, ill, and wounded on one day. 9 hours, 8 sports.
Wow.
Yeah, in the Sacramento heat down at our phenomenal, beautiful San Pernil Community Center with a zero-entry heated pool where we have scuba diving for them and swimming with gold medal Paralympians here to teach them, Olympians that are local, Jeff Float, to come down and teach these warriors how to improve their swim strokes. It's just been Kelly Crowley, who's a gold medal Paralympian in 2 sports, both cycling and swimming, teaching them how to swim and encouraging them. And we just have all kinds of amazing local support and coaching here that has supported these opportunities. And we host it at Pennell Community Center, which is on the corner of 24th and Meadowview in South Sacramento, where our River Cats Independence Field is.
Yep.
Most folks know about Rayleigh Field, but don't know about River Cats Independence Field. It's one of only 2 in the world that's size. And myself and a wonderful group of individuals worked for 6 years to raise the $1 million for, headed by Mike Ubaldi, who was our board president and local attorney, and Stan Atkinson, who is a beloved newscaster, retired in Sacramento, and other community members that came together, including, of course, the Sacramento River Cats that bought the naming rights. And that facility is their legacy project, and they believe very deeply in its outcome. And we fought to have it put there so that we could have the swimming and the track and field, and we do archery, and we do strength and conditioning and wheelchair softball.
And is that for the transitioning unit? This is what you're still talking about, or is this for the whole?
It's for everyone. So, but
Okay.
it benefits, obviously, when we do the
Right.
community-based warrior transition unit, which is 100% Army, and all active duty injured recovering in their hometown. So CBWTU means community-based warrior transition unit. There are
Okay.
9 segments, if you will, on a map of the United States areas, and those are the individuals from the Army that have been injured, that have been deemed well enough to recover in their hometown.
Right.
And if in fact they come to one of the musters and they get counseling and they get the physical activity with us, their adaptive sports reconditioning day with Paralympic Sports Sacramento and all of the other Northern California clubs that
Right,
come together,
right.
and they have a need, then they would go up to Fort Lewis, Washington Joint Base McCord, up in Washington State,
Right.
to the Warrior Transition Unit. But these folks are recovering in their hometowns.
Now, where are they? So this is across the United States. You say there's 9 of them?
9 regions, if you will.
And what's in those regions? I mean, is it?
So for ours is California, Nevada, Washington, Oregon.
Okay,
For-
okay.
That's the
So
western.
it does cover other states versus
yeah.
not just California.
So the individuals that we're serving here in Sacramento are from California, Nevada, Washington, Oregon. They are now
Right.
doing more, which I'm happy about, using other Paralympic sport clubs throughout California, Nevada,
Right.
Washington, and Oregon, and doing localized musters. So I'll have 50 soldiers from the Army instead of 150, because then they're recreating and forming camaraderie with their local organizations.
That's just amazing. And I know
Yeah.
you must get a lot coming in there.
We do, and this is a regional grant, so my responsibilities are to, I travel a lot. We take our hand cycles, our wheelchair basketball chairs, quad rugby chairs, and we'll go to the VA in Palo Alto. We'll go to,
Wow.
the Sacramento VA. I go to the Monterey VA. I train the staff. I am able to do a staff training for those folks. I'm doing one next month in Monterey before a ride at CSUM Monterey Bay.
Right.
Which is at the old Ford Ord. So we'll be hosting that. And then for the Paralympics, for example, we had 215 athletes go to the Paralympics in London and represent our country. 21 of those, a high number, were veterans.
Wow.
One active duty, first active duty ever to represent the United States. And just as an example, here in December at the California International Marathon, Lieutenant Colonel Brad Schneider, who won a gold medal in London, one day to the year that he lost his vision,
Wow.
one day to the year, on the exact day he lost his vision, he got a gold in London.
Oh
That is
my
not done.
gosh. That's amazing.
Now, yes, he was an elite swimmer for the Navy prior to losing his vision, but it doesn't always translate. It
Right.
doesn't transition, especially, and just think about all the physical rehab he had to go to
Oh, yeah,
get
too.
healthy. Mm-hmm.
And it's mentally, it's the mindset
Yeah,
too. That's the most
absolutely.
important. I mean,
Absolutely.
physically it can come, but that mental part of it, losing your sight. I mean, I can't imagine. That's just, it's like I was telling you, my daughter lost her hand in a car
Right.
accident. It was the emotional part of it. The
Right.
mental healing is very long and
Yep.
it takes a long time. So.
And it's camaraderie that really brings them together and helps
And
support.
how can, since we're running out of a little bit of time here, tell us how others can learn more about your programs.
So I would encourage everyone to go to U.S. Paralympics Find a Club, and that will show them nationwide where to find our club in Sacramento and there's 8 clubs in Northern California that I help to organize and oversee so that we collaborate on everything because we bring together all of our equipment.
Right.
The Valor Games Far West, which is, we got chosen as one of only 4 places in the nation. We just pulled that off in San Francisco.
It's amazing.
We had our last competition was cycling. We had 88 veterans for 3 days competing in Paralympic sport. And we had over 100-something bikes at Candlestick, and we had our closing ceremonies on the field at Candlestick.
Oh, that's just amazing.
Catered by the Outback. It was just beautiful. And of the 88, 84 competed in the cycling.
And if somebody wants to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
They can go to our website at accessleisuresac.org.
Okay.
And all my name and the phone number are on there, and as is my staff members are on there as well.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Annie, for coming in. I so
you.
appreciate it. And tune in next week for Armed Forces Weekly and with another guest. And again, thank you so much for what
Thank
you
you
do.
for
It's
having
amazing.
us. Thank you for having us.
This song is for you.